Welcome back, guys, to more Let's Play Crash Bandicoot in Sane Trilogy. In the last episode, we made quite a fair bit of progress, and we defeated Papu Papu, the first boss of the game. And today's episode, we're going to keep venturing on. But if we go down here, we can see Coco's time machine. Do you want to join the adventure? Yeah. Press R2 to swap to Coco. This is another interesting feature added to the Insane Trilogy. Coco is Crash's little sister who was introduced in the sequel. With no context, by the way. Vicarious still didn't really explain that context, but they made Coco playable in all three games. She was only playable in select levels in the third game, but she wasn't fully playable. It was all, like, vehicle-themed. But now you can fully play as Coco, and she plays just like Crash. She's not an inferior version like the Wrath of Cortex. She is basically a stronger, more amazing character than she was. So now she's basically just a skin of Crash. And I'm okay with that. I actually really enjoy playing as Coco in this game. Right there, we picked up an embryo token. Tana isn't the only one who has a bonus round. In some levels, Embryo, Dr. Cortex's right-hand man, has tokens, which lead you to bonus rounds. And just be careful and always hit that left corner box, because if you don't, you're not getting that token. It's gonna blow up and it's gonna disappear. Trust me, you don't want that, because now the bonus rounds are required in order to get the box gem. They weren't required to get the box gem in the PlayStation 1. So, in a sense, they added a little more difficulty to the game by making you have to play the bonus rounds, while still making things easier by not making you have to play the levels perfectly. It's a win-lose situation. But anyways, Coco carries her laptop around. She loves that thing. Big thing in Crash 2 was that Coco wanted you to get her a laptop battery, and yet somehow she still managed to use her laptop effectively throughout the game. It was weird. But Coco is never seen without that laptop. That laptop is basically a part of Coco's character. It's just an extension of her altogether. And again, there's no story explanation as to why Coco exists. Vicarious still did not elaborate on that. So, Coco's just kind of in Crash 1. The time machine would make more sense if you played some of the sequels. But still, again, what is Coco's origins? How was she made? Why does Crash have a sister? And why are we not elaborating on this? Vicarious, you could have had an opportunity here. Again, we can't actually get the gem in this level because we require another gem in order to access the secret. But now we can go into the embryo challenge, and these are actually really difficult. I'd argue that they are the most difficult bonus rounds in the game. Obviously, the first one isn't going to be as hard because, well, it is the first one. But some of these embryo challenges get ridiculously difficult later on. But they're also a great means for racking up some extra lives. Despite his obsession with explosives, Embryo's challenges reward you, I'd say, even more lives than a Tana bonus round can sometimes. I actually hardly went for the Embryo challenges in the original PlayStation 1 version of the game because, like I said, they weren't required, but they were so difficult to complete that I never saw it as worth it. The Tana ones I went to because the Tana ones were the means you could use to save. Yeah, you couldn't just press a button on the map and just save the game. Oh, no. You had to complete a Tana bonus round, an Embryo bonus round, or you had to get a gem to save. As you can see here, there's a red circle with a line through Coco's face, indicating that Coco is not playable in this level at all. Some levels still require you to play as Crash, and this is one of them, Hog Wild. And I love this level. This is a vehicle level of sorts. The only ones in the game. Crash is running on a... He is riding on a constantly moving hog. And you have to navigate through all these obstacles while breaking the boxes, and it's wild, it's crazy, it's fun, and I love it, and I love the music so much. This is one of Vicarious Vision's best remixes in Crash 1. Oh, it's just so catchy. So, I'd like to point out that as you progress through the game, you start seeing like subtle hints of what's to come. So you can see we're navigating through this native fortress area with all these natives and their old school traps and all their food and stuff. Well, the level after this is going to take place in their entire fortress. So it's story building without having to tell the story through cutscenes. And to me, that is something that I greatly like about this game, is that as you progress, the island starts to tell you a story. Like, see, we're heading deeper and deeper in. But we can play as Coco again, so we're going to switch back to her, because I want to give Coco just about as much screen time as I'm giving Crash. Since Coco is a neat addition that was given to the Insane Trilogy, I thought it was appropriate that I would show her off in the game. Also, that life count. Ladies and gentlemen, it is so easy to rack up lives in the first Crash Bandicoot game, which is funny because it was so arbitrarily difficult on the PlayStation 1. But you could still rack up lives like it was no joke. It was so easy to cap out at 99 right off the bat. And I'm pretty sure that by like, I think, it's either part 3 or part 4, I already have capped out my lives to 99. Like, it is ridiculous just how easy it is to rack up lives in this game, despite its sheer difficulty. But this game isn't nearly as hard as it used to be for me. I'll explain the fact that I did 2 practice runs of this game. So I know all about this game's difficulty, and how to, say it with me, be patient. Crash 1 is a game in which you must be patient. The level design calls for patience. You can't just blaze through these levels. I mean, you could if you wanted to, but you're more than likely going to get yourself hurt a lot and possibly lose a lot of lives. But if you're patient, you can navigate through these levels without dying. I'm not saying you might go without getting hit. I mean, it's very likely you can get hit. But a lot of these levels, if you're patient, you can play through them without dying. It's a lot harder in the original game, mind you. The controls are more stiff and you are forced to play with the D-pad, whereas here you at least have the option of analog. You have a better save system and all that. Yes, it makes it a little easier. But even in the original PlayStation 1 game, despite how difficult it is, if you're patient and you study the level design, you should be able to play through the game with minimal problems. I'm not saying that you should go and play the original version to 100%. Oh my goodness, no. You have to play every level perfectly. I wouldn't ever advise you doing that. If you want 100% Crash 1, I recommend just doing it on this version. But even then, the 100% ending isn't exactly really great. I mean, it's nice and it's kind of satisfying, but I kind of like the any percent ending a little more personally. And I skipped that Aku Aku down there. And I was like, do I really go back and get it? And I decided not to, because then I have to climb up those spinning platforms again. Also, if you look up there in the skybox on the far right, that is Cortex Castle, where we started the game off in the opening cinematic. And that big tree is called the Uka Tree, as it was established in the canon of Crash of the Titans. And that is actually where the second island of the game takes place. So basically, it's foreshadowing and helping with world building as to where you're going to be going next. And I love it when a game does that. I love looking off into the distance and just seeing levels I'm going to visually see later on and enter. It's nice. And if there was ever a game that I think did that really well, it's Super Mario Sunshine. I know that this is a Crash game and I'm getting off on a little tangent here, but Mario Sunshine did the world building incredibly well by showing off the levels all over the place. You entered any level and you could see 1 or 2 or even 3 that you would go to later, and here's Crash 1 doing it. Crash 2 does it too. I don't think Crash 3 does it though. Crash 3 technically really can't do it for its own purposes that we'll get to when we get to Crash 3, but Crash 1 and Crash 2 are really good at world building, and I I'm a sucker for that. I love world building. It makes the game better, and I hate these jumps. I hate these jumps so much. They are so finicky. You have to really adjust to the controls of the Insane Trilogy because it's a lot different. In Crash 1, it was a little more on the stiff side in the original, but in the Insane Trilogy, things are a little more on the floaty side. So you really have to adjust everything, and just, you kind of like, you have to just work with it. You'll get used to it eventually. But again, this is another level that we can't actually complete by getting the gem, so that's a shame, but what can you do? It's 11 boxes, too. That is a lot of boxes to miss. But anyways, we're done with Island 1, so now we're on to Island 2. And here we are going to another creek level. And we can actually get the gem in this level. I really like the creek levels. It's a shame that this is the last one we'll be seeing like this. The water effect in this game is just so good. I heard people complaining in the comments section during like early gameplay, and they were saying the water looked awful. I think the water looks really great. This game has gone through so many nitpicks. You know, like people want these games to succeed because Activision said that if the Insane Trilogy does well, we can get a new Crash game. We haven't had a new console Crash Bandicoot game since Mind Over Mutant, and that was in 2008. After that, Crash went on to mobile games for like 3 years, and he just kind of faded into obscurity until he was brought back in Skylander Imaginators, which most people were complaining about, but I thought it was a ray of hope because he's back. He's coming back. And of course, now we have the Insane Trilogy. And of course, if this does well, we'll get a new Crash game, a brand new Crash game. Now, if it's going to branch off from Mind Over Mutant's story, or it's going to be like it's going to like be a new continuity, I don't know. I don't care. As long as we get a brand new Crash game, I'm okay with that. I want Crash to live and thrive because Crash, growing up, was one of my favorite mascot platformers. Right beside Sonic and Ratchet, I love Crash Bandicoot as a mascot platformer. He is absolutely an incredible series. I love it. I like him more than Spyro. Yeah, I said it. You got a problem with that? Anyways, we have to backtrack here because, as you can see, there's some boxes down here. And I panicked and I kind of died because I forgot there was no boxes under the log. I was thinking of a later part, so then I went back and I did it the proper way, and it's just an extra life. You know, you get confused because, like I said, level designs repeat themselves, and I'm thinking of a different part where there's a box underneath a log, and it's for the gem route in the previous level, so it's just like, sometimes I make accidental deaths because I think I'm in a different level because, like I said, the themes are going to repeat themselves. But anyways, we're coming up to another Tana bonus round. There are Tana bonus rounds in just about every single level. Now, really, for the levels that we can't get the gems on the first try, I can imagine people would think, why would you show off the entire level, breaking off every crate, and then show off the Tana bonus rounds if you're just going to have to go back and play them? Well, the way that I'm editing it together is that I'm only showing off the portions that the gem pass will show off to you, and then that's it, getting the gem. So I basically, I'm playing through the levels twice, but I'm doing one where I show off the entire level, even if we can't get everything, and then I just splice the little bits together of the added content in which we can get everything, and that's what makes up the retreats. Because otherwise, I would just have to blaze through a level really quickly, not really break every box, and just play through it in a kind of fashion. And then I would have to come back and show it off fully again, and that would pad out this Let's Play. But we're gonna wrap up this episode with another boss fight, and this is Ripperoo. And I love this music. I love this remix. I love this remix. I love this remix. This is probably my favorite remix that Vicarious Visions did with the first Crash game. I don't know what it is, but I just love it. Listen. It's just so catchy. Ripper Roo is one of my favorite villains in the Crash series. He is insane. And he had this, like, stock laugh track in the original game, right? It was like a sped up version of, I think it was the cat laugh from Lady and the Tramp. Now, it's not in this version of the game, obviously. I'd also like to point out that this little animation right here where he's falling down the waterfall was added to the Insane Trilogy. A lot of bosses get that treatment, and I like that. But anyway, guys, that is the end of part 2. In the next episode, we are going to go on to more Island 2 adventures. I'll see you guys then.